For founders who have limited budgets, what would you say
Mm.
are the non-negotiable legal must-haves for their businesses,
Yeah.
especially in the early stage?
Yeah. Must have property for entity formation,
Okay.
with like your clear governance documents. In a lot of states, you can't even officially incorporate if you don't have that, your operating agreement. Sometimes it's called a charter, maybe it's bylaws, all that you need to actually register in a certain state, right? Other must have written contracts. I mean, I assume if we're talking with like pretty much any company, you're going to have contracts from day one. Maybe you have agreements with certain investors because, you're selling off shares to just get money to have the working capital that you need. And then you're also going to have your key vendors, regardless of what entity you're in. Let's say you're in manufacturing, you're going to have vendor agreements with people who are maybe making the product for you at a much cheaper rate. And then maybe you have another agreement with distributors. And then you probably have like sales agreements with your actual customers if you're selling a product to someone. Another one I'd say, and this is probably not so popular, is intellectual property protection. And I attribute this, I have a brother who focuses his practice in intellectual property. You want to think about, if I have people working on my behalf, are you creating a product or something for me such that you are almost creating intellectual property rights? And am I assigning those rights for whatever inventions or whatever you create to kind of push and propel the company forward? Am I thinking about, okay, well, who actually owns that? Because you're really doing that for me, so that should actually all be under our company and all that. The other side of that is like trademarking. That's one of the things that I'd say is like a non-requisite. Like there's a difference between like certain intellectual property protection and like, oh, I just need my logo trademark. You know what I mean? Like that's something I could see waiting, but then the actual intellectual property rights, especially if you have employees and they're creating things on your behalf, that's something that I'd want you to be thinking about day one.